From the Balkans through North Africa and from the Middle East to the Caucasus, Turkey was one of the most important empires in all of history. However, its language, Turkish, unlike Spanish, English, French, or Russian, is not spoken beyond the borders of present-day Turkey in the Anatolian Peninsula. Have you ever wondered why you are interested in exploring this historical mystery? Alright, then stay until the end of the video. First, let's discuss dimensions. During its peak, reached in the second half of the 17th century, Turkey exceeded 5.2 million square kilometers, covering the Balkans, the Middle East, North Africa, parts of the Caucasus, and Anatolia. In addition to the tremendous territorial extension, the Ottoman Empire was a true cultural, ethnic, and religious mosaic. Serbs, Greeks, Turks, Arabs, Kurds, Albanians, Bulgarians, Armenians, Assyrians, Bosnians, and Romans were some of the peoples that made it up and continued. Not only Islam but also other religions such as Christianity, Judaism, or Russianism. This encouraged administrative pragmatism, prioritizing political control over cultural and linguistic unification. This pragmatism was embodied in the Millet system, a model of administrative and religious organization within the Ottoman Empire, which allowed religious communities to self-govern under their own laws, traditions, and authorities. This system was mainly applied to Christians, Jews, and other religious minorities known as IMIS, who, although subordinate to the Muslim state, enjoyed a certain degree of autonomy. Each millet, which in Turkish means nation, was headed by religious leaders, such as patriarchs, rabbis, or bishops, responsible for the administration of justice, education, and tax collection within their community. In return, community members had to pay the jizya, a specific tax for non-Muslims that granted them protection and exempted them from military service. However, they were not forced to learn Turkish and could maintain their language, traditions, and cultural practices. The millet system reflected a pragmatic approach to governance. Instead of culturally or linguistically assimilating the conquered peoples, the Ottomans focused on tax collection, prioritizing economic growth. Thus, loyalty to the Ottoman state did not depend on language or culture, but on fulfilling fiscal and legal obligations. This decentralization allowed the empire to rule over a vast and diverse population without requiring cultural homogeneity. However, this approach limited the cultural cohesion of the empire and left room for nationalist movements. In later centuries, especially during the 19th century, which was when the beginning of Ottoman decline and the rise of nationalism in Europe coincided. Although the millet system is the underlying reason for the non-expansion of the Turkish language, there are other reasons that contributed to this. Even though Ottoman Turkish was the language of the court and officials, a large part of the documents and official communications in the provinces were carried out in Arabic, Persian, or in the local languages, which further discouraged the learning of the country's official language. On the other hand, Turkish was never the most spoken language of the country, but Arabic. In addition to there being more Arabic population than Turkish during the Ottoman era, the Arabic language is the language of the Quran, so it had a religious status superior to Turkish. Especially in Muslim regions such as the Middle East and North Africa. Likewise, other Muslims in the empire, due to the lack of pressure to learn Turkish, prioritized Arabic over Turkish. This lack of linguistic assimilation policies contrasted with European colonial policies, where the United Kingdom, France, Russia, or Spain actively imposed their language as part of the administration and education, which is why most countries that gained independence from these powers have retained the colonial languages as official. Finally, we can talk about the nationalist movements of the 19th century that rejected the Turkish language as a symbol of oppression. This was considered the century of nationalism, and it was especially fostered in the Balkans, where any kind of Turkish influence was rejected in favor of local languages and culture, so that any trace of the Turkic language was totally discredited. Therefore, as you can see, unlike European empires, the Ottoman Empire never sought cultural or linguistic uniformity in its territories. Its pragmatic and decentralized approach allowed diversity, but in return limited the expansion of the Turkish language. This helped to preserve the local cultures and languages spoken in the current countries, unlike America, where indigenous languages are mostly in the minority. But now tell me, what do you think about the impact of Turkey on the languages of its former territories? Do you think the pragmatism of the Ottoman system was its greatest strength or its weakness?